Hi guys, so in this video I'm gonna take a look at how to make sure that your techno, hypnotic techno especially, doesn't sound monotonous, boring. So this problem was stated by our community member Oscar, who asked if I have any tips for how to make techno tunes sound deep, alive, without being monotonous. And I'm happy to dive into my top 5 techniques that I use regularly in my tracks to make sure that they don't sound boring. So at the end of this video you will know exactly what to do to make sure that your loops sound interesting and you can arrange them into full tracks that sound interesting to the listener. If you don't know me yet, I'm Michał, and over the last 6.5 years I've been teaching music production to beginner and intermediate producer, and my focus, my inner strengths and where I excel is I help people create effective process for finishing tracks. I run 2 music production communities, and with over 80 people that we work constantly, we've helped to finish over 900 tracks. If you wish to work with us, check out the link in the description to learn more. All right, let's dive in. So this is the sketch we're working with. I think it doesn't sound bad at all at this point, and I will walk you through everything I did to make sure it sounds interesting. The first technique that I always recommend when it comes to creating music that is not boring and more engaging is to use velocity when you program the sequence and you use longer loops. So let's look at this really simple example of the bass line. So as you can see, hope this is visible, like this little dash tells us how long we have the loop. So we have this loop being 8 bars long. So usually when I see beginner producer or people who produce sometime, they do loops for like 2 bars, 4 bars maximum. So you can stretch your loops to more bars and then use velocity variation. And look what I did. So I have, you see the velocity variation over the bass. So it already creates the feeling that this bass is alive. And then you see we have the loop that is being not only 4 bars, but it's 8 bars, and we have variation. So at this point, this loop finishes with 2 notes, and we have it finishing with 2 notes. Maybe we can add up a bit of, we can spice it up here at the beginning as well, just to add this a bit of roll. So let's try to inject one more and see how. Oh, I like it. So what you have already, and I was talking about this in this video, you have a loop that you can repeat now at least 2 times, so we can play it not 8 bars but even 16th bar, and it will not sound monotonous. That's 8 bars, yeah, that's 16 bars, because you can in music repeat something 2 times without sounding boring. So this is the first bit I always recommend people to do. Use velocity, use longer notes. The second bit is to use automations, and this is maybe obvious for some, but some people doesn't use it often, and we can do automations that are manual, and let's program some. Of course we can modulate the main lead, but that's really obvious, but let's keep the lead as it is at this point, and we will automate different elements. Like I like to automate hats, for example, decay. So let's see how that's gonna sound. Something like that. Yeah, and there's this little accent going on. So what we want to do is we actually want to disable all the recording, all arm buttons, and then with this arm being on, we will put the record on, and I will record myself adding those. That's okay. Why I prefer do it that way? Because right now we have this automation being recorded, and it has that live component. It has me mingling with that loop and just playing with that beat and feeling what's good. So this is how I prefer to record my automations. And pro tip for that is to actually now loop it irregularly. So then we will, for example, have this one. Let's maybe hover over this one, and I will duplicate, 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 and duplicate. So right now I have live automation recorded, and then I've added polymetric looping of that automation, which makes things even more interesting. Let's listen to it. And I'm gonna add a bit of echo because it sounds a bit dry, and with echo it's gonna sound really cool. Maybe that's a bit too much. That's cool. And I'm gonna add another automation, this time on different element. Like for example, I like this perk. It has a bit of echo, yeah, which is here sent on return channel, and I'm gonna do exactly the same. So let's listen to it, and then let's press record, and I'm gonna record this automation. That's okay. I was listening to that hi-hat when this hi-hat was a bit longer, just to get to the like to make them talking to each other. So to have, yeah, I like that. And we'll do maybe not the same tree. Yeah, pretty much. Let's do it the same way. So we have this irregular automation on this one. Let's duplicate it for the entire track. Why not? And I'm gonna also have it maybe copied. So this already seems more interesting because we have some automations and not, but they are on the percussion elements rather than leads. So this is really important. It adds that movement that we need. Then the third technique would be to add polymetric beats, and you've seen me copying irregularly automation, which adds a bit of polymetric vibe. But then you see I have this percussive, like this groove, yeah, and I'm looping it. Let's call it 8. So it's 13th, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 over 8. So you see we got this beat being looped very irregularly, and this creates this irregular and together with that one, now having this automation also polymetrically, it's like I can play this. This is very engaging. But what's happening also on this? So I have this, so it's like tsa, 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 tsa. But I have this LFO playing, auto filter playing here, and added LFO. So this also creates that polymetric shift, polymetric feeling, because now the filter opens, we have this high frequency content, and closes. And this is also irregular because I have it to rate, so it happens at the state of 0.13 hertz. Yeah, so it's not 1 cycle per second, because that would be 1 hertz. It's 0.13 cycle per second. I'd have to calculate that, but it creates that polymetric vibe as well. Yeah, I can maybe do it even longer. So I also recommend using those polymetric automations. You can achieve them by having an extra LFO on some parameter not being synced to bits. So you would sync it here, this is unsynced, and creates that feeling. So that was tip number 3. Tip number 4 would be to use modulation on lead sounds, and I'm sure you've been using this a lot. So with our lead, we can, let's play our lead. So actually because I can't do macro and I'm using Gem from Opal, thanks to our partners from Force. So this is really simple. I also wanted to do this polymetric, but I've decided to keep it simple. As you can see, like simple meaning having this being looped regularly by 2. But you can see I'm also using 8-bar loops. So again, long loops, long loops, long loops, long sequences. I'm gonna tell you this forever because this is one of the biggest, I think, flops or maybe ways that you can take your beats to the next level by just enhancing, extending your loops. But yeah, let's come back to modulations. This will be pretty simple. Like I always encourage people, when you have a sound, try to find 2 to 3, maybe 4 parameters that you know you can experiment with and map them to controller if that's possible. These 4 parameters will give you plenty of modulation options. So for me, this would be this button. As you can see, the timbre changed a lot. I could play with feedback. I could play with contour. And especially with longer envelope. This could sound really well on transition, like here. And with some noise. And I would have to have it short. Yeah, so having modulations on the lead, but we can also modulate another, like a second sound we have. So in this way, I also recommend this a lot. Like when you have one sound being modulated, then you don't modulate the second sound. If you have the second sound being modulated, don't modulate the first sound. So in this instance, for example, if I would arrive to this moment, like you see, I have this thing being recorded, and let's listen to it first. So I recorded live the Zebra 2 synth just to have some audio recording, and this is something I also recommend a lot. When you do some modulation, some experimentation with the sound, record it to audio, because when you have an audio, it's easy for you to work with, and then you have the audio being modulated, so you don't have to write automations, re-record the modulations. You have it, you can keep it, and you can stick it to the arrangement. So as you can see, when I would, for example, modulate this one, let's say I would keep it fairly static here because the modulations are happening here. So I don't need any more modulations going on. This is enough, just a beat. You see, I didn't do anything, but we had this keep going for at least 16 bars because we had this modulation and some beats being switched. So modulations are really crucial. And the fifth thing I wanted to show you is just adding some effect sounds. And you could hear this being played here and there. I have few things for using effects, and I will record another video just for transitional effects, how to do them, how to differentiate them. But just here, just to add a bit of context, just to let you know that you can have a bit of effect here and there just to smooth things out. So I'm using like effects for starters, new sections, like this one. This one. So let's listen, enter new section, and we have this thing going on. So this sound plays as an effect after 2 bars, another 2 bar passes, and we have another effect. So I like to have effects at least every 8 bars. So in this instance, I should have some effect here. So let's add this dabby clap here. I like to use them. So I'm gonna like add this really simple, and I'm just gonna, yeah, we can have it claps. Yeah, maybe like that. Yeah, so it can be percussive, it can be something like re-effecty, or some clap or some hi-hat. I like to add noises as well, so I'm just having simple noise on analog with sidechain. Yes, so we had effect and we had hi-hats here being added as an offbeat. So every bar, every 4 bars, I'm adding an effect just to keep things interesting. And if I have some loops going on, if they are long, if they have a bit of polymeters, if they have a bit of automation, and then with effects, this is really enough to keep the things going, to keep things engaged, because you've used all those other techniques. So that's it, my friend. I've showed you how to use automations, how to use long loops, how to use velocity changes, how to add modulations, how to record automations. What else? I've showed you also how polymeters work in terms of, like, in the context of adding polymetric beats and polymetric loops, in like automation loops. I hope this was useful. I hope this will help you finish your next track and make it more alive, less boring. And if you want to learn more from me, check out this video. Till the next time, bye, thanks.